the Great North Woods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Today on Good Morning Maine, a man who tried to escape the Somerset County Courthouse earlier this month has been given his sentence.
Plus, the city of Bangor is considering the construction of a traffic circle in the downtown area. In fact, traffic circles, but it's being met with some pushback.
And we'll get an inside look at a local historical society to learn what life was like for residents long ago. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us. We'll have those stories coming up in just a few moments. But first, to check the forecast, looks like we'll see a change in the weather today. More clouds moving in, and it looks like we'll see maybe some sprinkles today and some more steady rain moving in later on tonight.
Right, definitely more likely tomorrow.
Use the rain though, I think.
It's dry. Yeah. Here's Devin Biggs with the forecast.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Wednesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Comfort Shoes and More. Need the perfect fit for your new fall footwear? Visit us across from Irving and Newport. Alrighty, here we go. Some areas of dense fog across parts of Washington County this morning, but overall, most of us looking very nice with no issues whatsoever with the fog, pretty much for the most part. But otherwise, we do have a small crowd advisory that is posted until 8 p.m. for your Thursday along the coast. We do have active surf that we're dealing with in those areas. On land, we are watching clouds that are tracking in from the south and west and going to the north and east. We're dry for now, but sprinkles will be on the way as we get the daytime period going. Here's the system right about here tracking from the south and west going to the north and east. That'll bring that rain in our direction, especially later on tonight and especially as we head towards the daytime tomorrow. Futurecast showing a few sprinkles possible today, maybe some light showers, maybe a few breaks in the clouds from time to time too, but especially for your Thursday, that's when the rain will begin to move in. As for the winds, not too bad for us today, roughly at around 5 to 10 miles per hour at best. The winds will start to pick up a little bit, and I mean just a little bit, as we head towards the daytime period tomorrow. So for today, we have middle 60s, mostly cloudy, some sprinkles possible, and a southeast wind getting up to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. The hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period showing a mostly cloudy sky, sprinkles possible, temperatures in the 60s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
All right, thank you, Devin. We'll see you later on. A Fairfield man who tried to escape from a courthouse has received his sentence. 31-year-old Nicholas Carter was convicted earlier this month of assaulting a child. The boy, who was an infant at the time, underwent 3 brain surgeries and lost vision in one eye. According to the Morning Sentinel, Carter received a sentence of 20 years on Tuesday. He'll serve 10 of that in prison and several years on probation. On September 11th, Carter attempted to escape after he was found guilty. He bolted from the courthouse in handcuffs, but was held by 2 jurors after he tripped. Extra security was on hand yesterday when he received his sentence.
Fire crews from multiple towns battled a stubborn fire in Newburgh Tuesday afternoon. First responders say fire was showing as they arrived at the structure on North Road. We're told that the garage was being used to store and work on racing cars. The fire started in one of those cars while it was on a lift. A priority for the departments was to save a house that was very close to the garage. Water supply was a factor, but crews were able to stamp out the fire, saving the nearby home. The garage, however, is a complete loss.
A close call yesterday afternoon when a person drove his car into a Hogan Road business in Bangor. According to Bangor police, the call came in shortly after 3 o'clock for a crash at Vibes Cafe. The driver of the vehicle stated that they believe the car had a mechanical problem. There were no injuries reported, but the building did sustain some damage, as you can see there. Police say there are no charges at this time.
A big mess in Dennistown Plantation. A truck carrying pre-built walls for home construction rolled over near Jackman on Monday. The local fire department says it happened when the driver fell asleep while driving on Route 201. They say it was around 7 Monday morning when the rig drifted from the roadway and struck a utility pole before rolling over. The cab was crushed, but the driver found a small opening to crawl free. He only suffered minor injuries.
A man who crashed a bicycle in Acadia National Park has died. 70-year-old John Bennett Parrott of New Hampshire was traveling on the Park Loop Road on September 9th when his foot became loose from his pedal. He crashed, and even though he was wearing a helmet, Parrott suffered significant head injuries. We have since learned that he passed away just 2 days later.
All 186 seats in the Maine legislature are up for grabs in this November's election. Local political experts spoke with business leaders and talked about expectations at a virtual webinar hosted by the Maine State Chamber of Commerce. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard has more.
We look kind of just maybe generically heading into the various state legislative contests we're looking at. I would say the advantage is for Republicans.
Mark Brewer is a professor and chair of the political science department at the University of Maine. Speaking with business leaders on Tuesday, Brewer says the reason why he thinks Republicans are at an advantage in state-level races this November is because for a while now, Democrats have controlled the Blaine House and both chambers of the Maine legislature.
Oftentimes, the electorate, particularly when they might be in the mood for change, which I think some voters in Maine are this cycle, that increases the odds that we might see a change in party control somewhere. And obviously, the Blaine House is not up.
As far as races he's watching to possibly predict who controls the legislature, one of the key races is House District 1, where Democrat John Martin, looking to return to the legislature, faces off against Republican Lucian Daigle.
What makes that seat interesting to me is that Aroostook County, St. John Valley in particular, has become increasingly Republican in recent years. Democrats holding seats up there is rare.
In the 2022 election, there was only one Democrat to win legislative races in the county, Senate President Troy Jackson, who is termed out and not running in this election. Another race Brewer is keeping his eye on is the race for Orono's Senate seat, District 8, between incumbent Democrat Mike Tipping and Republican challenger Leo Kenny.
I think that race is very interesting. We are seeing national money come into that race, which I've never seen in this. Since I've been here now 20 plus years in this area, I've never seen that in this district.
With 6 weeks left until Election Day, and ballots already sent out to uniformed and overseas voters, we'll have to see how control of the legislature plays out. In Augusta, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
In other news, Penobscot Community Healthcare has informed their patients that on Wednesday, October 2nd, the Winterport Community Health Center will be shutting down and ceasing healthcare services. PCHC says their Winterport location has suffered from poor provider retention and turnover in primary care for several years now. And, quote, the overhead associated with running a small practice like Winterport is no longer sustainable, a sustainable option for PCHC. Utilizing the Winterport building for a new project is a possibility, but PCHC says those plans have not yet been developed. Penobscot Community Healthcare says they're currently focused on finding new providers for those affected patients and also supporting staff through the transition. They say there are no plans to close any of their other practices.
Question 2 on this November's ballot will ask voters if they favor a $25 million bond. That bond would fund research, development, and commercialization for Maine-based public and private technology institutions. The group Invest in Maine's Future is a coalition formed by the Maine State Chamber of Commerce that's working to support the bond. In Brewer yesterday at the defense technology company Computech, the coalition held a press conference to officially launch its campaign. Speakers included Bangor Region Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Deb Newman, Computech co-founder Paul Melrose, and MDI biological lab researcher Corey Johnson. Newman spoke about a similar research and development bond that was approved by Maine voters back in 2017. According to Maine.gov, that $45 million bond created over 1,700 direct jobs and nearly double the amount of indirect jobs.
Maine is 44th out of 50 states in R&D spending. 44th out of 50 states. That is the wrong side of the chart. Maine is known as a leader, and our ranking in R&D funding should reflect that.
If question 2 passes, Newman says the Maine Technology Institute would oversee the competitive grant review and award process.
Well, the city of Bangor has announced they will be temporarily cutting back their bus schedule. Starting on October 5th, the city's Community Connector service will not be running on Saturdays until further notice. The closure applies to all routes and the transit center itself. According to city officials, the change comes as they face operational and staffing challenges.
The City of Bangor and the Community Connector have been trying to avoid this scenario now for weeks. Unfortunately, circumstances have led us to this point. However, we continue to seek out the solutions necessary to bring Saturday service back as quickly as possible.
Well, according to O'Donnell, they considered multiple options, but Saturday service has the lowest ridership. They hope this temporary change will help lessen the pressures on drivers. The Community Connector continues to actively recruit new staff. Anyone interested in applying is encouraged to visit the City of Bangor's website.
There could be some major changes coming to downtown Bangor. The city is considering preliminary recommendations to make transportation and streetscape improvements to the area. Our Grace Blanchard has the details.
A big makeover could be on its way to downtown Bangor. The city is reviewing proposals such as adding bike lanes, changing angled parking to parallel spaces, and even transforming traffic lights into roundabouts. Community members have had mixed reactions.
I'm not sure they're necessary because I don't see any need for it. I zoom through Bangor all the time and would see the need for that kind of expense.
This comes as the city is conducting a study to reduce congestion and improve pedestrian and traffic safety.
I've almost been run down by cars twice, just trying to get into my shop.
Many downtown business owners say the current layout of the area creates challenges for their businesses and their customers.
We have so many customers that come, oh, I couldn't find parking, it's so hard to... So yeah, that's a big problem in downtown.
The biggest complaint I hear from visitors is that it's hard to traverse downtown because there's not a lot of wayfinding signage.
The owner of the Briar Patch hopes the city will also review improvements for those with disabilities.
I think the goal of any changes made to downtown should be to make it easier, more navigable, and more welcoming.
City officials are encouraging people to fill out a survey regarding the proposed changes, which is available on the city's website. In Bangor, I'm Grace Blanchard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
It would be a big change.
Yeah, it takes some getting used to, that's for sure.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, the time now is 6:12. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, it's a new beginning for Bangor's Legacy Sandwich Shop, which won't be closing after all. We'll meet the new owner who plans to give the business new life.
But first, another check of that weather forecast. A cloudy day ahead today with a chance of sprinkles, highs around 64 degrees. Cloudy with areas of fog overnight, also some showers late. Lows dropping down to around 50. Tomorrow, more rain is likely with highs near 58. We'll be right back.
Embrace the journey, where each moment turns into a cherished memory. Ensuring life's journey and experiences along the way. AAA, we're always with you.
When Angus got elected, he said he wanted to stand up for Maine's veterans. He wanted to give back to those that served, and I believe he's done that time and time again, year after year. From healthcare access to burn pit exposure, as well as housing. He's helped veterans every step of the way. I can't think of a better person to go back to Washington, D.C. and fight for us. And I can't be more proud to support this fine gentleman. I'm Travis Mills.
And I'm Angus King, and I'm proud to approve this message.
Hey, good morning, America.
Good morning, America. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Every day of your life.
After you murder someone,
sometimes a feud kills.
Name something you must quickly get rid of.
The weapon that you use.
You gotta clean up all the blood.
The bullet shells.
You don't have to get rid of the witnesses.
Family Feud.
Weekdays at 9 and 9:30 on ABC 7.
The Literacy Volunteers of Bangor is looking to recruit new volunteer tutors to teach Bangor area adults who aspire to have a better understanding of the English language. The nonprofit has been helping Bangor area adult students for 55 years. According to Executive Director Mary Taylor, they currently have around 200 volunteer tutors and 200 adult students. Tutoring sessions typically happen a week for 1 to 2 hours, and one volunteer says it's an extraordinary joy to help someone learn what many consider a difficult language.
This is my way of paying it forward. My journey has been education. Saved me from a life of poverty.
We're able to see how their lives are completely different today from the first day we met them, and that's gratifying.
From 6 to 8 p.m. on October 16th at Eastern Maine Community College, the nonprofit will hold a certification training for new tutors. For those interested in attending, visit lvbangor.org.
Well, the public comment period on the proposed expansion of the Juniper Ridge landfill has now been extended until this Friday. According to the Maine Department of Environmental Protection, the comment period was originally supposed to end on September 20th, but was extended due to public request. The Juniper Ridge landfill is owned by the state of Maine and is located in Old Town and Alton. If approved, Maine DEP says the landfill footprint would expand by 61 acres and add 11 years to its operating capacity. After the public comment period ends on Friday, the 27th, the department says they'll issue a final decision on October 2nd.
After initial plans to close its doors, the Legacy continues. The owner of Legacy Sandwich Shop in Bangor announced that it would be closing, but plans have changed. It now has new owners. Robert Kearns is one of them. Kearns says he's worked for several sub shops over the years. He says they plan to keep the original menu with some daily specials.
Bangor has lost a lot of wonderful restaurants and businesses from COVID and maybe a little lack of workers and such, and we're long life customers here. And my partner just was in tears hearing that this was going to close, and just thought we can't let that happen. So conversation started, and here we are.
They will also be adding a line of freeze-dried candy and hot sandwiches. Kearns says he looks forward to meeting everyone who has supported Legacy Sandwich over the years.
We wish them the best of luck. Robert says he watches us on the morning show a lot when he gets up for the day.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. It's a great thing to save a local restaurant.
Yeah, I'll have to stop by and grab a sandwich.
Yeah. All right, the time now is 6:17. After the break, a state of emergency has been declared in Florida as the state rushes to prep for what could be the most severe hurricane of the season.
We'll have more on that and all of the latest stories coming up on Good Morning Maine.
I'm a Republican.
I'm a Republican.
A Maine Republican.
Not one of those Washington Republicans like Mike Johnson.
They want to slash Social Security and Medicare.
And raise the retirement age to 70.
They handpicked Austin Terrio to run for Congress.
And they'll control him in Washington.
But Jared Golden works for us.
Jared will stand up to both parties to protect Maine seniors.
We can trust Jared. He fights for us.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
That nip in the air can only mean one thing. Dorsey's fall introductions have arrived, and we need to make room. Hundreds of items have been marked down store-wide. Flexsteel Thornton sofa in a great quality Revolution fabric, list price $23.99, now only $8.99. Power reclining lift chair that lists for $10.99, now only $5.99. Dorsey's fall clearance is a perfect time to get any room in your home ready for the winter months. Dorsey Furniture, Route 1A, Holden.
Something big is happening on Sylvan Road in Bangor. It's the big grand opening at the new Coastal Auto Parts store and warehouse. Saturday, October 5th is the big day. See the Crush Station monster truck. Stop by for food. Take advantage of great deals and more. DIYers, make sure to visit the Milwaukee Tent Sale for money-saving specials. It's a big place. It's a big deal. It's the new Coastal Auto Parts store grand opening. Saturday, October 5th from 8 to 3 on 200 Sylvan Road, Bangor. Come see us.
Welcome back, everyone. Florida braces for impact as Tropical Storm Helene makes its way toward the state's western coastline.
Evacuation warnings are in effect as Helene is predicted to hit as a large, dangerous hurricane. Fox News' Kevin Uretsky reports.
If you're in an evacuation area, we want you to leave.
Tropical Storm Helene is forecast to become a dangerous hurricane before making landfall in Florida Thursday. The clock is ticking for Floridians to prepare or get to safer ground.
This is a very strong, very serious
storm, and the storm surge is really something we haven't seen in this area forever.
On top of a life-threatening storm surge of up to 15 feet in the Big Bend region, Helene is expected to bring damaging winds and heavy rainfall.
You've got the rest of the day today and all day tomorrow. So as long as people are where they need to be by the end of the day, and we recommend if you're going to evacuate, don't wait until it's dark.
Governor Ron DeSantis declared a state of emergency for 61 of Florida's 67 counties. He said at least 3,000 members of Florida's National Guard are ready, as well as the Florida State Guard. Extra linemen are on the way, and the state has hundreds of Starlinks to deploy in case internet access is lost.
We protect life and limb and then restore the services with both the power and any other services that are interrupted to get people back to normal. So we obviously hope for as small of interruption as possible, but we got to prepare for a big one.
Other states in the southeast are also under hurricane warnings. Helene's projected path runs right through Georgia and Tennessee later this week. Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp declared a state of emergency Tuesday. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
We'll certainly be keeping our eyes on that storm. We'll have the latest for you tomorrow, and we'll be watching because those storms tend to work their way up the East Coast sometimes, too. We might get some remnants of it at some point.
Right, definitely after the weekend, though.
Yeah.
All right, the time now is 6:21.
A little quiet around here, maybe a little rain on the way for us. Here's your full weather forecast.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Comfort Shoes and More. Need the perfect fit for your new fall footwear? Visit us across from Irving and Newport. Alrighty, here we go. Some areas of dense fog this morning, but overall we're looking pretty good across our neck of the woods. Any fog being reported maybe across parts of Washington County. Looks to be about it. Maybe a small area further off towards the west. But meanwhile, we do have a small crowd advisory posted along the coast, and that will last until 8 p.m. as we head towards your Thursday. Wave heights continue to remain active in those areas at around 6 feet according to the buoys, but really active further out towards sea. 10 to 11 feet being reported according towards some of the buoys, at least at this time. On land, not too bad. Clouds are approaching this morning. We'll be watching for more clouds throughout the daytime period today. Some sprinkles or light showers can't be ruled out. Better opportunities for rain will arrive later on tonight, especially as we head towards the daytime period tomorrow with the system right here that's tracking off towards the north and east. Now check this out. We now have Tropical Storm Helene intensifying quickly. Look at this right here. These darker clouds here indicating the colder cloud tops. So that definitely indicates a strengthening tropical storm right now with sustained winds. That's how we classify this at around 60 miles per hour. We do have tropical storm warnings and hurricane warnings posted even through parts of Florida. So that's the main concern as rapid intensification is expected with the system as they're now forecasting 120 miles per hour. That's a Category 3 hurricane as it makes landfall Thursday evening in Florida. So time's running out for those people in that area to prepare. So if you know anyone down there, make sure they're paying attention to the system rather closely and prepared to evacuate. Back here at home, we just have clouds passing through with a few chances for sprinkles or light showers today. Later on tonight, we'll be watching for more rain that will be on the way. Better opportunities for the rain will get going as we head towards your Thursday. Some heavy downpours will be possible at times, and the rain will finally start to clear out a bit as we head towards Thursday night and parts of early Friday morning. But however, a few showers will remain. As for your forecast for today, we do have middle 60s, mostly cloudy, sprinkles on the way. Southeast wind getting up to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overnight, lower 50s, mostly cloudy, some fog possible. Showers moving late with the wind overall looking nice and calm. Tomorrow, upper 50s, rain likely. Areas of dense fog on the way. Southeast wind getting up to around 20 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Comfort Shoes and More. More showers possible Friday with highs in the upper 60s. Upper 60s again for your Saturday under a partly cloudy sky. Partly cloudy and a little warmer on Sunday with highs in the low 70s.
Maine Paving is Eastern and Central Maine's go-to for all things paving. Maine Paving specializes in commercial or residential paving, grading, seal coating, and crack filling. And get this, refer someone that schedules a job and receive a $250 Visa gift card. Currently booking for this year.
When the Coach House Restaurant wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. The Coach House Restaurant, family dining at its best with fine home-cooked meals, delicious homemade desserts, and a large menu of tasty offerings for breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Whether you're thinking of getting your first tattoo or building onto your collection of skin art,
Disconnected Tattoo and Art Company in Ellsworth provides the safest and most comfortable tattoo and piercing experience.
at Disconnected Tattoo, we'll combine your vision with our art to create something special that will last the test of time.
Don't trust your personal body art to anyone else.
Call Disconnected Tattoo today to schedule your consultation.
Or check out our Facebook page.
Disconnected Tattoo and Art Company in Ellsworth.
The stars are shining on GMA this week. And this morning, Niecy Nash is live. Then this week, Divine Joy Randolph, Javier Bardem, and New Kids on the Block. This week, only on
Good Morning America!
Washington politicians allowing lobstermen to struggle, not just with higher inflation or with more regulations. They're allowing Canada to lobster in our waters, decimating our lobster population, stealing natural resources from our next generation.
Washington lets Canada steal from our lobstermen. They played politics while Mainers paid the price. It's time we put people over politics. I'll hold Canada accountable and fight to protect our way of life. I'm Austin Terrio, and I approve this message.
Maine Paving is Eastern and Central Maine's go-to for all things paving. Maine Paving specializes in commercial or residential paving, grading, seal coating, and crack filling. And get this, refer someone that schedules a job and receive a $250 Visa gift card. Currently booking for this year.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
As the fighting grinds on in Gaza, the conflict on Israel's northern border is seeing a big escalation this week. Fox News senior correspondent Mike Togan has more from Haifa, Israel.
More back and forth fire between Israel and Hezbollah as the two sides inch closer to an all-out war. On Monday, the IDF significantly escalated its offensive, hitting more than 1,500 targets and causing more than 500 deaths. Hezbollah responded with stepped-up attacks against cities and towns in northern Israel. Israeli leaders are now reportedly considering a ground offensive if Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah orders his forces to keep attacking.
If he doesn't pull his forces back and stop shooting into northern Israel, Israel is going to commit to an air and ground war to force him to do that.
The death toll in Lebanon is now at its highest since the 2006 war between Israel and Lebanon. But Israel says this time it's different, and they're relying more on precision airstrikes they say can locate and take out militants before they threaten Israeli civilians.
We're talking about heavy missiles with hundreds of kilograms of warheads pointed towards Israeli civilians, and we are committed to do so as long as Hezbollah keeps fighting.
Both Hamas and Hezbollah are backed by Iran, which has promised retaliation against Israel for the killing of a Hamas leader in Tehran last month. But their response to this latest escalation has been measured, calling on the international community to stop the violence.
We are concerned about the repetition of disasters like those that happened in Gaza, and therefore we demand immediate intervention by the UN.
The State Department is now urging all Americans to leave Lebanon before this conflict escalates further. In Haifa, Israel, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
AP News reported that early this morning, Hezbollah launched a missile at the headquarters of an intelligence agency in Tel Aviv, being its deepest strike yet into Israel.
Well, a new government watchdog report signals the alarm on outdated air traffic control systems, finding that many are in need of urgent updates and new spare parts. Nearly 80% of the U.S. air traffic control systems are considered, quote, unsustainable or potentially unsustainable, according to a new report from the Government Accountability Office. The federal watchdog warns there could be safety risks in the U.S. airspace if the Federal Aviation Administration continues to rely on those systems. FAA Administrator Michael Whitaker testifying on Capitol Hill that the agency's facilities have been underinvested in over the years. He adds that while progress has been made, Boeing has to make significant changes. Whitaker told lawmakers a full turnaround from Boeing could take years to complete.
A potential dock worker strike could lead to a fruit shortage at some grocery stores. 45,000 dock workers with the International Longshoremen's Association are threatening to strike as they seek a new contract by October 1st. A strike could stall distributions at major American ports that supply popular fruits such as bananas, which could result in empty produce sections or extreme price hikes. Produce experts say any fruit that comes in during a strike will likely spoil and be thrown away. Industry experts predict a dock worker strike could cause a roughly $7.5 billion loss for the economy. The union is demanding an 80% pay rate increase over the next 6 years, as well as more restrictive language on automation in the workplace.
That could disrupt the whole chain of supplies in our country, just in time for the holidays, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, coming up on the second half of the newscast, we'll take a step back in time at the Hamden Historical Society and hear about some mysteries in the town.
That and more coming up on Good Morning Maine.
Our country is counting on Bath Iron Works. 6,500 men and women building the most advanced naval ships in the world right here in Maine. So when extremist politicians threaten our jobs, I have to speak out. Austin Terrio supported shutting down the government. We could have lost the Navy contract that keeps Bath Iron Works running. Austin Terrio put his extreme agenda ahead of our jobs.
DCCC is responsible for the content of this ad.
Motorcycle accidents can happen fast. The effect on your life can be devastating.
I wasn't going to take a chance on my future.
I needed a lawyer who fights for bikers' rights.
Motorcycle law is complicated, and you'll need somebody who knows motorcycle law. A name the insurance companies know all too well.
A lawyer with the power to get you more. They got me way more than I thought I'd get.
Call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein. Right now.
Tell them you mean business.
Harris Lumber is locally owned and has been serving the Pequot region for more than 50 years. See them for all your projects, big or small. Customer service is their #1 priority. And with a full line of lumber and hardware items, they can also deliver to your job site. Harris Lumber, Milo.
The Autumn Gold Festival is Ellsworth's annual fall celebration, organized by the Ellsworth Area Chamber of Commerce. From boat rides to carnival games, our car show to our golf tournament, and so much more. Come experience the Autumn Gold Festival while enjoying the splendor of fall in Ellsworth.
Hi, I'm Barry, third-generation owner of Gas Horse Supply and Western Wear. For over 100 years, we have been a destination for Western saddlery and equine tack. But hold on, partner. We are a store with much more. We are fully stocked with Western apparel and, of course, Western boots for the entire family. For summer concerts, formal events, how about riding horses? Even safety toe work boots. All boots purchased receive a free coating of leather preservative. Cowboy up. Gas Horse Supply and Western Wear in Orono.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. Today is Wednesday, September 25th, 2024. Today is also National Lobster Day.
What is your favorite way to eat lobster? Or do you like to not eat it at all? This famous Maine staple can be eaten so many different ways, whether it's just straight up with butter in a lobster roll, either warm or cold, or cooked into innumerable dishes, like lobster mac and cheese or an omelet. So if you're a fan of lobster and it's within your means, support a Maine lobster fisherman today.
Pretty cheap out there, too. You know,
Right.
It's cheaper than buying steak or anything like that. You can go
Really?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Depending on where you get it.
Yeah.
I know there's certain deals today. I know that Beals in Southwest Harbor is offering discounted shipping if you want to order lobsters from them, and also in-store deals as well. I haven't checked in with other places, though. Do you have a favorite place to grab a lobster roll?
Yeah, in my parents' backyard,
Right,
basically. We,
right.
my parents live in Stonington, so we're fortunate. We have a lot of lobster around us.
Right.
And whenever people come to visit during the summer, they want lobster.
Yeah.
So I probably had about 6 times this summer already. Now I'm kind of
now
done
you're
with
tired of it.
I'm ready
I
for
was
some
gonna
other
say
things.
the same thing
Yeah.
in my mom's or my uncle's house.
Yeah.
I have a couple cousins who are lobster fishermen, and sometimes we'll get together and it'll be a feast.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my favorite way as well. It kind of almost feels wrong to go
Yeah.
out and spend the money on it when you have locals and family who
It's
do
true.
that type of thing.
When my buddies come from Texas too, and they see how cheap you can get it here,
Right.
and it's so plentiful, I
Right.
mean, they're just blown away. But
Right.
they're like, why don't you eat it every day? It's like, well, anything you
Well,
eat every day, you'll get tired of.
Yeah,
But,
you wouldn't want to eat caviar every
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Or maybe you would. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't really care for caviar myself.
I like it.
Anyway, go support a lobsterman, buy a lobster or two today,
Yeah.
and feed your family. You'll be glad you did.
Yeah.
All right, time for some history now. On this day in history, way back in 1777, the city of Philadelphia, at the time the American capital, was occupied by British forces during the American Revolution. In 1890, Sequoia National Park was established by President Benjamin Harrison. It was California's first national park and the country's second. In 1911, groundbreaking began in Boston for Fenway Park. Been around for a long time.
It's burned once or twice since then.
Has it really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of history there.
Yeah.
And in 1926, Henry Ford announced an 8-hour, 5-day work week for workers at the Ford Motor Company.
He was an innovator.
Yeah.
In 1978, a Boeing 727 and a private Cessna plane collided over San Diego, killing 144 people. In 1981, Sandra Day O'Connor was sworn in as the first female Supreme Court justice. And in 1989, Boston Red Sox Wade Boggs was the first to get 200 hits and 100 walks in 4 consecutive seasons.
I was a big Wade Boggs fan.
Yeah.
I like that team from back then.
Right.
For birthdays today, we have actor Will Smith, who is 56 years old today. Actor Michael Douglas is 80. And actor and rapper Donald Glover is 41 years old today. So happy birthday to all of them.
Yeah, a lot of talented dudes.
Yeah.
Okay, moving right along now. It's supposed to be pretty cloudy today, maybe some sprinkles.
Yeah, you know, just a little drizzly weather, that kind of
Right.
stuff. And then we'll have some more persistent rain as we head into tonight, late tonight into
Right.
tomorrow.
It's been so dry.
Yeah.
You really got to watch if you're camping, having any sort of fires. You really should get your fire permit and
Right.
or just avoid that because it's so dry out right now.
Make sure it's out
I
when
know.
you leave it too.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, here's Devin Biggs with that forecast.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Happy Wednesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Comfort Shoes and More. Need the perfect fit for your new fall footwear? Visit us across from Irving and Newport. Alrighty, here we go. Some areas of dense fog across parts of Washington County this morning, but overall, most of us looking very nice with no issues whatsoever with the fog, pretty much for the most part. But otherwise, we do have a small crowd advisory that is posted until 8 p.m. for your Thursday along the coast. We do have active surf that we're dealing with in those areas. On land, we are watching clouds that are tracking in from the south and west and going to the north and east. We're dry for now, but sprinkles will be on the way as we get the daytime period going. Here's the system right about here tracking from the south and west going to the north and east. That'll bring that rain in our direction, especially later on tonight and especially as we head towards the daytime tomorrow. Futurecast showing a few sprinkles possible today, maybe some light showers, maybe a few breaks in the clouds from time to time too, but especially for your Thursday, that's when the rain will begin to move in. As for the winds, not too bad for us today, roughly at around 5 to 10 miles per hour at best. The winds will start to pick up a little bit, and I mean just a little bit, as we head towards the daytime period tomorrow. So for today, we have middle 60s, mostly cloudy, some sprinkles possible, and a southeast wind getting up to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. The hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period showing a mostly cloudy sky, sprinkles possible, temperatures in the 60s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
All right, thank you, Devin. Well, volunteers with the Hamden Historical Society are helping to preserve the town's past by sharing with visitors a little insight into the lives of some of the town's most famous residents.
Our Jody Hersey has more.
We need new buildings, but we also need to remember our past and where we've been.
Jean London is a longtime volunteer and tour guide with the Hamden Historical Society, which operates out of the Kingsley House. This home was once owned by Martin Kingsley, a Harvard graduate, postmaster, circuit court judge, and representative to both the Massachusetts legislature and U.S. Senate.
When people come through, I ask them if they know why the door is so wide. It's because they had to have the funerals in their own homes, and they had to be big enough to swing a casket through.
Unfortunately, Kingsley experienced a lot of loss in his life. London shared that Kingsley and his wife had 13 children together, but this is the only one that lived into adulthood. Among the home's furnishings, visitors will find this monogrammed K located in the railing of the stairwell.
If you paid off your mortgage, you had a party, you burned it, you had the ashes, you put the ashes in here. Then if people came to see, they'd say, oh, they're rich. They've paid off their mortgage.
Former Vice President Hannibal Hamlin's law office is also located on the property.
The desk is a copy of Hannibal Hamlin's desk.
The Historical Society also shares information with visitors on pioneer and philanthropist Dorothea Dix.
She didn't have a connection with this house per se, but she was a Hamden person, and we tried to save information we can find about her.
Karen Bagley, the vice president of Hamden's Historical Society, says no matter where you are from, history is important for all of us.
And it's a good way to show where we've come from, what we've learned, and where we're going.
In Hamden, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Wow, that's one of those historical societies I've always wanted to visit. I've driven by. Jody told me yesterday, I believe I'm remembering this correctly. Double check me though. I think they're open Tuesdays only through October, so they're not going to be open through the winter. So if you want to go soon.
It's a great place, and it's local too. You're looking for something to do some afternoon?
Love it.
Go check it out.
Yeah, love it. All right after the break, Tyler Cruz will have our sports updates.
Don't go away.
When R&K Variety in Hamden wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. R&K Variety is more than just a convenience store, offering fresh cooked meals that don't break the bank, gasoline for your mean machines, or beer and wine so your night is fine. Stop by today.
Something big is happening on Sylvan Road in Bangor. It's the big grand opening at the new Coastal Auto Parts store and warehouse. Saturday, October 5th is a big day. See the Crush Station monster truck. Stop by for food. Take advantage of great deals and more. DIYers, make sure to visit the Milwaukee Tent Sale for money-saving specials. It's a big place. It's a big deal. It's the new Coastal Auto Parts store grand opening. Saturday, October 5th from 8 to 3 on 200 Sylvan Road, Bangor. Come see us.
When Rowell's Garage in Dover Foxcroft wants to know the local forecast, they log on to foxbangor.com. Rowell's Garage has been serving customers in the greater Dover Foxcroft region since 1946. Our goal is not just selling you a vehicle, but also giving you quality service to maintain your vehicle at peak performance. Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, deck, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
Hammond Lumber Company is looking for great people to join their team. To find your place on the Hammond team, click on the careers link at hammondlumber.com.
Basketball season is right around the corner. Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. The Boston Celtics banner-raising ceremony and their opening day is less than a month away, and on Tuesday, we got to hear from them for the first time this season. After taking down the Mavericks in 5 games in June to win their first NBA title since 2008, the Celtics had a great offseason. They re-signed Derek White and Sam Hauser, gave Jason Tatum an extension for Tatum, and to C's other star, Jaylen Brown, it was a busy summer for them. Brown was left off of the Team USA Olympic team. Tatum went to France with the gold medalist, but hardly played. Both say that could be some extra motivation, but right now they are back at it with the same goal as last season, be the final team standing.
All the guys that I looked up to growing up at least won one championship. So now it's just a conversation of how great are you trying to be.
This is the best that I've ever felt, and the hardest that I've ever worked. In the midst of traveling, I've been able to, balance that with really getting after it. So I'm excited.
Boston opens the season on October 22nd at home, hosting the New York Knicks. To the soccer pitch and over in Dexter, the Tigers girls soccer team is in their first season of 8-player soccer, and they are killing it. The girls have won their first 7 games to start the season. They are outscoring their opponents by a whopping 55-8 margin. The Tigers have a ton of experience together, and they say the reason for their early success is their ability to work as a team.
I think we definitely have some key players that are working really hard to do a lot better in scoring for us, and I think we're really selfless, so we're always just finding the right person to pass. Like, not everybody wants to be the lead scorer, so we're just finding the person who's most likely going to score.
I think the biggest thing for us has been like the lack of selfishness, and everyone wants what's best for each other, but we also want to push each other to do our best.
Even though their play on the field suggests different, it still is the first time they've played the game with only 8 players on the pitch. Maine became the first state in the U.S. to offer varsity 8-player soccer last fall. Dexter joining up this season. They say it definitely took some getting used to, but they've enjoyed the extra spacing it provides.
A lot more running, a lot more space, open space to move, get the ball movement. I personally like it a lot. There's less people on the field, and then there's just more space to pass, but I honestly like it a lot because we're taking advantage of that space, and there's a lot of room for combinations and just different passing. And
wishing them luck the rest of the way. Over to some field hockey now. We'll check up on a matchup up in Old Town. The Coyotes playing host to the Pirates from Piscataquis. Second quarter is where we'll start. Coyotes' Ruby Shaw with it. She comes away with a steal, looking for Natalie Fournier on the inside, but Ava Goulet gets her stick on it and clears it out. Nice defensive play from the Pirates. Second half now. Piscataquis with a great look at a shot. Olivia Goodwin here is going to get it, leaves it for Molly Goodwin. She fires, and that is just wide of the net. Still scoreless here. Time winding down in the fourth quarter. Old Town on a corner. Shaw gets it in to Fournier. She fires, redirected to Phoebe Yerxa. Phoebe battling, looking to get a shot in close. Gets denied over to Sophia Morgan, but the PCHS defense would hold on. They go on to win it 1-0 in overtime. Over to Cameron Stadium now in Bangor for a Class A matchup. Rams hosting the Mount Ararat Eagles. We picked this one up late in the first half, tied 1-1. Bangor gets a shot on net, but it's Brady Yazwinski who tips it over the crossbar to keep it tied. To the second half now. Ball is played to Brennan Fitzpatrick at the doorstep, but it's denied by Maddox Smith. The Eagles would make it 2-1 shortly after, and we're on the attack again, but Smith makes another save. That hits the post. It's loose in front of the net, but he gets up and gets to the ball in time to keep it within 1, but the Eagles would prove too much. Aaron Paul taps in a juicy rebound to seal this one. Mount Ararat goes on to win. 3-1 is the final. Across the river to Hedrick Field, Brewer hosting the Dragons out of Brunswick. First half, Dragons with a chance. Jacob Samuel and Eli Willett in a race to the ball. Willett wins, but can't get it out of bounds. Samuel gets it back, tries a shot, but Willett and the Witches kick it out. Nice defense from Brewer. Still in the first, Asher Fouché with a good ball here to Jolson Malongo. A touch pass to Samuel. Samuel is going to beat his man to the corner, bring it back into the box, and fire point blank. That makes it 2-0 Brunswick. Later in the first, the Dragons have it again. Martini to Judah Greenwald, settles and shoots from way out, and that gets in despite a great effort from Willett. Dragons go on to win 8-0. All right, and for some other scores from around the area, Camden Hills beats Bangor in field hockey 3-0. John Babst over Herman in boys soccer 7-0 the final there. Class A girls soccer, Brewer picks up a win on the road against the Dragons 1-0. And a big Class C boys soccer matchup, George Stevens takes down Orono 5-2. All right, that is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Your favorite restaurants for half off. It's half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7. Go to foxbangor.com, click on half off dining, and start saving now.
Brackish River Bistro, sharing the Winterport Winery and Penobscot Bay Brewery building. We have an incredible breakfast menu, brunch specials, plus we're open nightly for dinner and drinks. Take the drive to Winterport and taste what the Brackish River Bistro is all about.
Great restaurants from all over Eastern Maine at half off dining from Fox 22 and ABC 7.
The past few years have been challenging for law enforcement, but one thing we've never had to worry about is whether Jared Golden will watch our backs in Washington. Jared isn't afraid to stand up to his own party to keep Mainers safe, voting for billions of dollars for state and local law enforcement and to secure the border. Austin Terrio is something else. He voted against millions of dollars for the state police because the budget came from the other party. We need leaders who put public safety first, and that's Jared Golden.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message.
The longest lasting brand.
For best value, go with the longest lasting brand, Toyota. And at the Toyota Best Value event, you could get $4.99 for $60 on the all-new all-wheel drive Camry Hybrid with elevated design and technology. Plus, get 2 years no-cost maintenance.
The longest lasting brand.
So for a vehicle with long-lasting value, see your New England Toyota dealer, your all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
While some regions of the country are praying for rain, others are hoping for an end to the frequent showers. But according to a new study, it's all part of a growing trend of extreme weather events that researchers call the new norm. Fox's Ted Linder takes a closer look at the impacts of the nation's changing climates, especially when it comes to a vital cash crop that many rely on.
While weather can be unpredictable, new research from The Ohio State University is spelling out a gloomy forecast for the future.
Our study was looking at precipitation extremes, so either 3-month droughts or 3-month wet periods, what we call pluvials, to see if there have been trends over the last, looking back roughly 1,000 years through the present.
From their findings, scientists say the severe droughts that impact the Southwest and the more intense rainstorms that swamp the Northeast are now the new modern norms millions should come to expect. Adding these patterns may only become worse in the future. Meanwhile, the research indicates that states in the middle of the country should brace for a mixture of extremes.
So in general, the summer droughts are becoming drier. The winter pluvials are becoming wetter.
While the altered climates are impacting many industries,
wetter wets and drier dries is particularly challenging for farmers.
It's leading teams at Bayer Crop Science to develop a new, stronger, and shorter type of corn to withstand heavy winds and rely on less water.
That's keeping us a lot less chance of green snap or lodging, especially late season.
According to the Department of Agriculture, America is the largest producer, consumer, and exporter of corn in the world. The short corn is being tested on roughly 35,000 acres in the Midwest. Bayer hopes to expand production of the crop in 2027. Ted Lindner, Fox News.
I mean, it's interesting. We're seeing peaches grown in Maine more often, and they're getting really good. You didn't see that, like 30 years ago?
Yeah, the weather, I don't know what to say. It's crazy. There's a lot of opinions about what's happening, but there's no question that something's happening out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. On that note, let's get a look at the forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Comfort Shoes and More. Need the perfect fit for your new fall footwear? Visit us across from Irving and Newport. Alrighty, here we go. Some areas of dense fog this morning, but overall we're looking pretty good across our neck of the woods. Any fog being reported maybe across parts of Washington County. It looks to be about it. Maybe a small area further off towards the west. But meanwhile, we do have a small crowd advisory posted along the coast, and that will last until 8 p.m. as we head towards your Thursday. Wave heights continue to remain active in those areas at around 6 feet according to the buoys, but really active further out towards sea. 10 to 11 feet being reported according towards some of the buoys, at least at this time. On land, not too bad. Clouds are approaching this morning. We'll be watching for more clouds throughout the daytime period today. Some sprinkles or light showers can't be ruled out. Better opportunities for rain will arrive later on tonight, especially as we head towards the daytime period tomorrow with the system right here that's tracking off towards the north and east. Now check this out. We now have Tropical Storm Helene intensifying quickly. Look at this right here. These darker clouds here indicating the colder cloud tops, and that definitely indicates a strengthening tropical storm right now with sustained winds. That's how we classify this at around 60 miles per hour. We do have tropical storm warnings and hurricane warnings posted even through parts of Florida, so that's the main concern as rapid intensification is expected with the system as they're now forecasting 120 miles per hour. That's a Category 3 hurricane as it makes landfall Thursday evening in Florida, so time's running out for those people in that area to prepare. So if you know anyone down there, make sure they're paying attention to the system rather closely and prepared to evacuate. Back here at home, we just have clouds passing through with a few chances for sprinkles or light showers today. Later on tonight, we'll be watching for more rain that will be on the way. Better opportunities for the rain will get going as we head towards your Thursday. Some heavy downpours will be possible at times, and the rain will finally start to clear out a bit as we head towards Thursday night and parts of early Friday morning. But however, cover. A few showers will remain. As for your forecast for today, we do have middle 60s, mostly cloudy, sprinkles on the way. Southeast wind getting up to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Overnight, lower 50s, mostly cloudy, some fog possible. Showers moving late with the wind overall looking nice and calm. Tomorrow, upper 50s, rain likely. Areas of dense fog on the way. Southeast wind getting up to around 20 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Comfort Shoes and more. More showers possible Friday with highs in the upper 60s. Upper 60s again for you Saturday under a partly cloudy sky. Partly cloudy and a little warmer on Sunday with highs in the low 70s.
Join us every Friday this season as we celebrate the return to the gridiron with the most highlights, reactions, and analysis of your favorite teams. Catch Sports Blitz Friday at 11 on ABC 7. Sports Blitz is brought to you by Coastal Auto Parts, your local Napa Auto Parts dealer with 30 locations, owned and operated by a Maine family that cares. And by Dorsey Furniture, Route 1A Holden, where you will find furniture that's in stock and ready for delivery.
Goose River Farm and Meat Store is conveniently located on Route 3 across from Hammond Lumber in Belfast. They have a wide selection of meat and poultry, including beef, pork, lamb, chicken, duck, rabbit, and turkey. Open Tuesday through Saturday.
Does your dream kitchen look like this? Or this? Or maybe you need a little more inspiration? Get it when you explore the complete in-store showroom displays at Hammond Lumber Company. When you find the look you like, the Hammond team will help you customize it, including accurate 3D renderings, so you can visualize your project before the work begins. Hammond offers delivery from any of the locations across Maine and New Hampshire and professional service after the sale. Your dream kitchen begins when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
Whether you're thinking of getting your first tattoo or building onto your collection of skin art,
Disconnected Tattoo and Art Company in Ellsworth provides the safest and most comfortable tattoo and piercing experience.
at Disconnected Tattoo, we'll combine your vision with our art to create something special that will last the test of time.
Don't trust your personal body art to anyone else.
Call Disconnected Tattoo today to schedule your consultation.
Or check out our Facebook page.
Disconnected Tattoo and Art Company in Ellsworth.
We are going to senior prom.
Date with Joe. I'm excited.
It brings us all back to the first time we fell in love.
And the second chance could be as good as the first one.
Or even better.
Chilean wingsuit flyer Sebastian Alvarez combined two of his favorite hobbies, skydiving and surfing, to perform a world's first skydive to surf jump. Alvarez did the stunt on December 19th last year, but Red Bull released the footage on Tuesday, days ahead of the Surf Abu Dhabi facility hosting its first professional surfing competition, the Abu Dhabi Longboard Classic. Alvarez said he comes from a surfing family and had always wanted to combine his passion for skydiving and surfing together. Huh.
Totally awesome, dude.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to, I was reading, so I didn't get a chance to look at the footage. I'll have to look at it
Yeah,
next
it's
time.
kind of cool.
Cool.
Looked like he had fun, too.
Yeah, I know. It's only a little dangerous.
A little bit.
Okay, looks like we're running out of time. If you missed anything, you can head to foxbangor.com. We will continue broadcasting for a renewed hour of Good Morning Maine. That's next on Fox 22.
If you're heading out for the day, we hope you have a wonderful day.
I was injured in a motorcycle accident and called Joe Bornstein's office for a free case evaluation. These guys are really good. They work hard and they really do fight for you. I was able to recover from my injuries while they took care of all the important details, and there were a lot of them. I highly recommend the law offices of Joe Bornstein to anyone injured in a motorcycle accident. For those who ride, keep Joe by your side.
Call Joe today for a free case evaluation. There's never a fee unless you win.
Join us on Sunday, October 6th for Pound the Pavement. The biggest and best color run in Eastern Maine just got bigger. New this year, the Kids' Mad Dash of Color. Mark your calendars for a fun day for all ages at the Sea Dog on the Bangor waterfront. Register today at purpleirisfoundation.com. Help support Mainers battling cancer. First 200 people get goodie bags and you can win great prizes too. Sponsored by the Sea Dog, Ice Pick Vodka, Somic America, the Maine Tavern, ABC 7, and Fox 22.
Harvey High is now in session. Today's subjects: biology.
Name an animal with the long neck.
Dinosaur, long neck, yeah.
Let me ask you something. When the last time you seen one?
Anatomy.
Name a part of Steve Harvey that a woman might want to kiss.
Your six-pack.
The six-pack? Does she know who Steve Harvey is? You got to dig for it, but it's in there.
Get schooled with Family Feud.
Weekdays at 9 on ABC7.
Her daughter can't settle down.
The two older children are fathered by one man, and the two younger children are fathered by another man.
2 years ago, you had a different boyfriend. Talk about dysfunction.
And she's still on the move.
I had a different boyfriend when we moved into this house.
You understand that that's not particularly good for your children.
Yes, ma'am.
Especially when you have a revolving door of boyfriends in your house. I mean, you do it anyway. That makes you pretty selfish.
Next, Judge Judy.
Wednesday at 5, only on ABC7.
You're watching ABC7 Bangor.
Good morning, America.
And streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, a man who tried to escape the Somerset County Courthouse earlier this month has been given his sentence.
Plus, the city of Bangor is considering the construction of a traffic circle downtown, but it's being met with pushback.
And we'll also get an inside look at the local historical society in Hamden to learn what life was like for residents a long time ago.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us. We'll have those stories coming up. But first, a check of the forecast. We, of course, are keeping an eye on Tropical Storm Helene as it heads towards Florida. Around our neck of the woods, it looks a lot quieter. It looks like we'll see some more clouds today, maybe some sprinkles and some more persistent rain as the week moves along. But overall, no big deal here.
I know. Seems like some drought conditions, though, so we could certainly use that rain.
We could.